Unlike Sheets, he'll sometimes just sit there for a few hours and not say something. So I'm going to try and jump into it as soon as I get the information. I'm going to probably stop around 6:55 Eastern time, and we're going to go from there. I've got some differences in my plays than I had earlier today. Not a huge amount that I feel like in love with from the value side, but I kind of like taking shots on these guys. The problem is the ownership. They're all going to have some decent ownership, and I don't feel like these guys are, like any of them, ones we can feel completely safe with, whether it's Bates Diop, who I am siding with right now, McDermott, Collins, Powell, Green, Caruso. They're all like decent, solid values, but none of them stand out as being like exceptional values. I do think Bates Diop, Dwight Powell, and Dorian Finney-Smith are my favorite three, partially because I like the Dallas Phoenix game. So that's why I'm getting to that. But I really think it's tricky, and you see all these value plays, but while some may get there, none of these guys feel like must plays. So I at the moment would be leaning more towards a middling build, but we don't have anything that, that's not the easiest thing in the world either. So what, I have like right now as my priority plays on our site, or you can go check them out right there. That's still consistent for me, but I'm just sort of wondering about how my builds are going to work with this value. I like the idea of using the mid-range stuff, playing some of the Phoenix and Dallas game. And I actually like some of the other Dallas pieces, which is pretty rare for me outside of Luka. Powell, because they don't have another true big to match up with. I mean, they can use McGee, but they haven't been using McGee. They don't have another true big to match up. So my priority plays are all listed on our site, and they're still up there. They're still there for me. The other guys I'm including, and my early build hasn't changed, by the way. So check that. That's basically the same. There's just news we're waiting on that we don't have yet. And honestly, until we do, it's going to be very, very hard to try to break down this whole slate. Like I said, I do feel the best about Bates Diop and the Dallas value a little bit better, but it still doesn't feel great to me. I mean, this is not like lockdown. We have to play these guys type of value in any spot. And the game, like I said, I'm targeting the most is Dallas and Phoenix. And I also love Paul George. So I have most of my players in the late games in my early build so far. And, in terms of actual guys, I have a ton of, like Luka's projecting like so incredibly well, or so well on SaberSim. Actually, it's just well enough. Like, I think that Luka is a good play, but like you're putting in some really suspect value. So I'm sort of siding with the more middling, the Chris Pauls, or even I don't mind DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson. I like in the mid tier. I feel like his projection got bumped down a little too far because Ayton's back. He's still going to get minutes on this team with the way it's currently constructed. So that's sort of my general theory. My general strategy is get Chris Paul or Ayton with Cam Johnson. If you want to play Luka, use that thin value and play Luka. If not, I think you should play some Dinwiddie. If you're not playing Luka, I think Dinwiddie or Hardaway. I prefer Dinwiddie. And then I think that like I said, I prefer Dwight Powell and Finney-Smith a little bit ahead of Josh Green. Can't believe I'm sitting here talking about Dwight Powell, but I do think that it's a different situation than it has been mostly for him. And assuming he stays out of foul trouble and that they're playing fairly well, I think he could, play a ton of minutes, and he might be the value that you end up needing. I'm not saying he'll do what he did the other night and put up 40 or something, but I don't know how many of these other guys have a realistic chance of even getting there. So those guys, along with Bates Diop, are my favorite, values, the Dallas guys, which is making me, leans me into stacking that game. We have a big, what do we do with, did we officially get word? No, we still have, so that like Donovan Mitchell, like everybody keeps saying how he's unlikely to play, but the projections are all screwed up. So one thing you can do is, because that game starts a half hour after the main slate starts, you can play both Garland, actually all of Garland, basically everybody on Cleveland, but I would say Garland and obviously the what's his name? Why am I saying what's his name? Karis LeVert are going to be tremendous plays if Mitchell's out. So I think you can go ahead and play that and assume that, and then honestly that game becomes like just as good to stack as Dallas Phoenix. So just something you gotta, look out for right now. And that's sort of my theory. I do like, if you wanted to go full stack, I like the Bulls game a little bit. I really like Vucevic. I just wish he was cheaper, but I really like him. I think he's going to smash against Charlotte. Every single big man smashes against Charlotte. Charlotte, we still have questionable tags on LaMelo and Gordon Hayward, so I can't really comment on that yet. And unfortunately, the NBA is at a point where they're going to have to make some decisions, because this is not okay that we have this every day. Like, it's so often, it drives me freaking nuts. And we need to have like more of a sense of what's actually going to happen than it is. Every now and then there can be an edge in speculation, but I just am so annoyed by this, because everything I just said is out the window to some extent if LaMelo, Hayward, and Mitchell are out. Then I'm not interested in the Dallas Phoenix game. Then I'm interested in this other games. You know what I mean? But if only, let's just say only Hayward is out, that doesn't mean anything to me, really. I still like Rozier fine, but it's really hard to know. So we need starting lineups. We need to know for sure. We'll probably have that information. I'll sit in Discord and answer all your guys' questions, because we're probably going to get them after I get off, because I have to get off at 6:55. So I have to just jump and grab a package, and literally I'll be right back. It'll take 2 minutes. But anyway, did we get some news in just now? I just saw something. Isaiah Stewart is available. Okay, expected that one. And then other plays that, in the earlier games that you're considering. But again, we just need to wait for the other news. Kyrie, I like a lot. Even on a back-to-back, he actually plays okay on back-to-backs, especially when it's all the offense on him and it's Detroit. So I'm not as worried about it. And then on the other side of that game, I think Jalen Duran is a really interesting play that's probably not going to get a ton of ownership. And the only thing I would say is that Claxton's done a really good job this year. I mean, we even saw it with Embiid yesterday. So I'm not quite as high on Duran as I normally would be. This is not Brooklyn from the last couple of years where you just get every offensive rebound. Anyway, guys, fire in your questions. Like I said, not a whole lot's changed since the beginning of the day. Bates Diop is a little bit better of a play. These Spurs guys are a little better plays, but just keep in mind, you're going to get popped a lot of the time. The Spurs are always going to look like this. And then, like, the Spurs right now are projected to play 12 guys. That is not a good thing for DFS. Not at all. Now, the usage is interesting because you have a guy like Trey Jones who should end up getting a lot of the usage. Bates Diop is going to get minutes. Zach Collins on a back-to-back, but again, he's a great fantasy point per minute producer. But then you're going to have guys like Stanley Johnson playing, and you're going to have maybe the simplest answer is, if you like that game a little bit, maybe play Bates Diop with one of Keldon Johnson or Trey Jones, maybe even Podol, one of those three. Because I just think like situations like that where everybody sort of like looks like a good value play, that it just can't be true. There can't be 7 guys exceeding 6x value. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, none of the Spurs ones stand out to me in the way that they're supposed to. I do think Bates Diop is the one I'm the most interested in. And I think Zach Collins would be the next one for me in terms of value. All right, let's get into it. I'm looking at the questions, guys. Hit the like button and subscribe if you don't already. We appreciate it. What's up to my man, Nick? What's up, MJ? Great to have MJ with us. He's been a lot of fun in chat and great questions always. Mike Sickler in here. What's up, man? Rody saying hit the like button. Hit for the sweet KD thumbnail. Wait, hold on. I gotta edit my date here. That's my bad here. I gotta edit the date, and I don't even. So we have that thumbnail. Why do we have a KD thumbnail? He's gonna be out for weeks. What's up to K9? Levert, that's I think, Clay, you might have asked that question before. As of right now, I have no interest in Levert if Mitchell plays. If Mitchell doesn't play, I will be all over Levert. So I don't even know if I'll not play him in anything. Charlotte guys are officially in. Okay, is that true? Because I did. Oh, there it is. Wait, hold on. Let's just take a look. LaMelo is in. Hayward's in. So no interest in the, like, I was really ready to hammer that game if those guys were both out. I'm not going to hammer it anymore. All right, let's see what else we have. Mitchell still game time decision yet. Charlotte being in. Yeah, I know. It felt like a spot we could have really attacked and done some fun things with. Powell for Dallas. I'm guessing you know that I've answered that question a bunch of times so far. I actually do like him tonight, which is rare for me. But I also like if something else comes up, I'm not going to make sure to have a spot for him. It's just he's the value that I feel a little more comfortable with because of the situation. Thanks, Rody. I appreciate it, buddy. Thoughts on the Boston New York game? Not a lot of thoughts. You can always play Julius Randle. You can always play Jalen Brunson. I'm not particularly interested in anything in that game. That's where I'm at. I think you might be losing out a lot. Kevin Love would be in play if Mitchell's out. And you can always take a shot on Kevin Love, but that should not be a priority. You should not be trying to get to Kevin Love. What's up to my man Kevin Wise saying what's up to you? Hey man, I saw that you jumped into our Better Takes. Guys, jump into our Better Takes chat. I'm going to throw the little link in here. We talk a lot more about sports betting, and we're just getting going here, but it's a bet tracking and analysis thing that's free and it's awesome. It's really helped me with my NBA bets. I think that it's really, really cool to use. So anybody who does any betting at all, I suggest checking it out. And even if you don't, I think it's a good group that we'll have, and we're going to start growing that, pretty much all the time. So jump on in. It's pretty awesome. And then keep firing in questions. I'm happy to go here with you guys until we get other news. I don't know what we're going to do. Garland, the way it's Garland and or LeVert. It's up to you. You can play both of them. You can play one of them. I probably would lean both of them on this particular slate. That would be my personal way to do it. But jump on in the other Discord, by the way, too. I do a lot of stuff. And one thing that happened, because we've got some new subscribers, people are asking, I think we're going to do that roundtable thing again. And I got to set up a time with Rody and Sheets when Sheets returns on Monday. But we'll try to do that really soon, because I love those roundtable discussions talking about how we each build. And each day, we want to talk about plays and our strategies and all that stuff. But talking about my hand building strategy versus Rody's hand building strategy is a very different thing. And then Sheets is, he's MMEing a lot, but he's also building his individual lineups, which have done really well. And he has a totally different strategy. So there's all good ways. Like I say, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Şengün thoughts. I think doing it on a back-to-back would be very, very borderline at best. In the worst matchup in basketball, no Şengün for me. I love Şengün. I feel like I deserve credit for Şengün, because I feel like I've been saying this since they got him. It's like, this guy's their best player by a long shot. He is awesome offensively. Defensively, he's the worst. But he just can. I mean, yes, could he go off again tonight? Sure. Should we be assuming 70 from him in the toughest matchup in basketball? How do you rate him against the other guys? I mean, I don't know. I just don't like him nearly as much as anybody in his price range on the back-to-back. I just think it would be foolish for Houston to let him play 37 minutes again. He did do it once on a back-to-back, but he only played 28 in the first game that time. The Houston-Cleveland stack, that might be great. We just don't need to know. We need to know if Donovan Mitchell's playing. If Donovan Mitchell plays, that game becomes very uninteresting quickly for me. I'm not trying to attack Cleveland. This is, you could argue they're the best defensive team in basketball, certainly in the top 5. Probably, I would say top 5, maybe top 3. Top 3, I don't think I'd have them outside of the top 3. And they don't play at like a wicked pace. But now it looks like everything is starting to adjust that Mitchell is out. I see him projected out but it's not official. I see him projected out on NBA.com. I see him projected out on Roto Grinders. I see him projected out. So I am probably going to play with that assumption if we don't hear about it in the next little bit, because there are a lot of people who are in this. And let's just see what the Vegas line is. It's a hard one, because Cleveland would probably be a similarly large favorite. Let's see, they were a 9-point favorite. If it hasn't moved at all, but they could easily be a 9-point favorite anyway with the lineup that you're going against in Houston. Yeah, is that official? Are we sure that Mitchell's not playing? Because I have not gotten the notification. I'm here on air with you guys, so I didn't have a chance to get it. But let's see. Grayson, no problem, man. We'll get you straightened out on that. I honestly think it's weird that people like to use optimizers unless you're max entering a tournament. I just think you're giving money away to some extent, because what you're doing is what everybody else is doing. Now, if you play a guy who 50% and you play 50 lineups, and he's going to be 5% owned and it goes off, that's great. But why? Like, my whole strategy when I started playing this, I still will max multi-enter sometimes, but I just think that the best way to get different is to find your own uniqueness, find your own way of being different than all these people, because you're not just trying to beat like thousands of people. You're trying to beat, in some cases, hundreds, in some cases, thousands of people who are playing many more entries than you. And that's a very, very difficult thing. It's much more difficult than if you're just playing as many as they are. My core is basically the same until if we have the Mitchell news. Do we have Mitchell out? Because I'm not going to rewrite my core because I'm on air and I just don't have time to do it between that and building lineups when we don't have information. But I'm very happy. You guys, please let me know if that Donovan Mitchell thing is official. Bill, did you see that? Like, is that official that he's not playing, or is that your opinion? One thing we do is we really try not to put opinions about guys playing or not, unless you say, I think he's going to. Because if you write that in there, people will take it as gospel. And we've had people lose a lot of money just because people in chat have said that this person's not playing when there was just speculation. That's why you won't hear me saying it on the live show. I'll do my speculation early in the day. I'll say, oh, he's going to play. But if we write it now, we need to know the official news. So let me know. Most importantly, I can't answer the core question until I know if Donovan Mitchell's playing. Can somebody help me with this? Is there anybody else who sees Donovan Mitchell officially out? Okay, thank you, Wesley. That's what I've got as well. But when I'm trying to handle these things, I can't keep track of everything. I'm looking through and I don't see it official anywhere. So that's why I was asking. And maybe you look, maybe you play a little less of the first games, because if he does sit, you do want LeVert and Garland, at least one of them. Beat reported tweeted highly unlikely. I appreciate that, Bill. That's great. I appreciate that. That's awesome news. Like that, like I understand. I've heard that report, but I love when we get that stuff out just to make it easier for everybody else. Senators versus Charlotte's not good lately. Oh, MJ, good would be like the understatement of the century. That's like saying, you know, those 2000 Lakers and those 90s Bulls were good basketball teams. You know, yeah, they were pretty damn good. You know, the best teams of all time. They are epically bad against centers. This is like, I like Vooch. I put Vooch in my first build today, and it never feels. I'm playing Vooch at 9K. What does the matter with me? I feel like I'm losing my mind. But it's Charlotte. Like, we watch everybody put up to like 70 on these guys. Like, it's, you know, Nurkic was playing like 25 minutes a game. They see Charlotte coming, and all of a sudden Nurkic puts up 72. Like, it's just nuts. Anyway, the beat report saying highly unlikely does definitely seem like Donovan Mitchell will be out. But I think you if I had to presume, that's the way I would try to presume. Instead of doing, I hate these half-point projections that a lot of these sites do, where like they have the guy at like Embiid yesterday was projected for like 18 fantasy points because people thought he wasn't going to play, which was so stupid. I would have bet $1 million on Embiid playing, but on a nationally televised game against Brooklyn, he's not going to miss those things. Anyway, what 3K Houston guy do I prefer? None. I don't like any of them. I don't even think there's only one. There's only like Christopher or Garrison Matthews. Pass. I like to win at DFS. I don't play those guys. Yeah, so I'm not the one who would be, if you had to take a shot, would be Christopher. He doesn't project as well. He'll be unowned. He's got a lot more talent than Matthews does. But it's just really hard to trust any of that stuff. And Houston is another team that's going to play 11 or 12 guys probably. So thoughts on Ben Simmons? I thought about a lot of things today. Ben Simmons was not one of them. On a back-to-back, I mean, this is the kind of game where you could, because he doesn't get to play in serious minutes. Like Ben Simmons has he gets to have the easiest job ever. First of all, you never shoot the ball. He has more fouls this year than free throws made. It's pretty amazing. When is the last time he made 2 out of 3 in the last game, and he had gone, what did he have? He went like a month without shooting a free throw? That's almost impossible. I mean, I could play in the NBA for a month worth of games. I'd get to shoot a free throw. I don't have any interest in Ben Simmons. If anybody's out, it's fine. It's a fine tournament play. It's the right kind of matchup. There is nothing that Ben Simmons has done that has led me to feel anything about him at 6,700. When's the last time he had one game we would take, that game against San Antonio where he had the triple-double? Other than that, you're talking about what's 1 out of 16, 17? And without Kevin Durant, it's actually gotten way worse. So I'm not behind it myself. Could it happen? It's the right matchup for it too. I have no interest in it myself. Anyone on Boston looking good tonight? Nope. No interest in Boston. The guys are looking good. Like, that's not true. People like the Brogdon play. People like the Derek. I'm not in. I'm not in on it. Everybody's healthy. It's the same as every game for Boston. Take a shot, but I have no interest in trying to prioritize any of them. Right. Good point there, Bill. That was without Kyrie that he had the triple-double. Jalen Green or Şengün? Neither. Şengün is the answer, but I'm not playing either of those guys. Okoro beat a narrative. I don't think that is not, if you're Isaac Okoro is not the guy you necessarily want to find the narratives with. He is 3,600 and viable, but it tells me, to me, Cedi Osman would be the way to go if there's no because Cedi Osman will get the actual usage. Okoro literally will stand in the corner, play defense, and he's a good defender. But I don't think we need to play Okoro. I do think that he's fine. I think that if you're stacking that game, he's a good play. If you're not, I wouldn't play him. For those people who want to play Garrison Matthews, you can go ahead. You can look at one of the worst point per minute producers in the history of basketball. Like, he's awful per minute. And it's a horrible matchup. So I'm not trying to target these spots. Can some of these guys get there? Sure. Can Ty Washington have a game, or Josh Christopher off the bench? Sure. Not for me. The fact that it's a back-to-back, this will be the weirdest. It'll never happen. But like, if I was playing 150, I would have one lineup where I put Boban in. Just one. But that's 1 out of 150. The only reason I mention it, if there was ever a time to play Boban for some minutes, and we all know when he plays a few, he can get more. This would be the night to do it. But unfortunately, with Garuba and Fernando healthy, it's probably not going to happen. I'm just speaking it out into the universe because I'd like to see Boban play. I think the guy's awesome. Just as a person. Podol. So I think, let's see. Hold on. Let's see. I've got a bunch of questions here. Branham. No, it's fine. Spurs are all, I'm basically with the minimum cost guys with the Spurs. They're all just like reachy kind of strange plays. So Branham, yeah, but like early in the day, are you going to count it? What happens if he doesn't start? What happens if he sits on a back-to-back? That's the only thing with the Spurs. I feel weird making cases for them because we could hear after the 5 o'clock game, after the 8 p.m. Eastern game locks, we could hear that like 5 Spurs are out. I mean, that would not surprise me. And they still would have a ton of guys. So it's a very tricky situation. Stanley Johnson and Josh Richardson are both questionable. I'm going to guess that Richardson doesn't play. Yeah, it's probably fine to take a shot on Branham. I'm not doing it. Norman Powell had 36 DK points. That doesn't mean anything. Make sure you watch every single thing and make sure that Kawhi and Paul George and Batum and everybody else played. Then maybe you're talking yourself into it. Maybe as a placeholder, there's nothing about this that looks like a Norman Powell thing to me. It's fine. It's not what I would be doing. I guess if you ended up with him as your last play, I prefer Zubac if I was going to do that. Just because one guy it doesn't mean anything. Best Spur tonight. Don't like the Spurs. Bates Diop is for me. Jared Allen, yes. I do like Jared Allen. All right, let's go. Keep going. Hit the likes, guys. We got 42 people watching and nobody liking. Like. Thoughts on Claxton? Not into Claxton. Not on the back-to-back. No. It's a great matchup for what it's worth, but I'm, again, not doing it. Yeah, 100% Billy. Bill's got it right. Pop is so unpredictable. Caruso, fine. Not trying to get to him. If I end up with him, I will. There's nothing about him that I'm trying to get to, but he's fine. PG or Kawhi? PG. Remember what I said before, LeBron? That's not that impressive, by the way. Just so you know, when you take like a 70% chance, a chance of something that's like 70% to happen, or even higher because everybody's projecting it, that is not something to take a victory lap on. That's like saying that, you know what? I'd be like the guy who bet the 1 million, the 1.4 million to win 10,000 on San Diego when they were up 27-0, and then he lost. But that would be like if he won taking a victory lap for the 10,000. Royce O'Neal, fine. Not trying to get to him because I'm telling you, there's still news in these later games that we don't have yet. So these guys are all fine. Not for me though. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, Nick. Always happy to do it with you. Even if we poke at each other sometimes, it's always good. We like to go rapid fire. We like to get everything done as quickly as possible and get addressed. I have to go get to my builds. I've got to grab something, pick something up from the door. The guy who's dropping it off, he's literally right at my door. I'll be in Discord. And we're going to answer questions through there. I'm not playing any Knicks or Celtics. I have no problem with if you want to play Randall or Brunson, but I'm not going to do it to answer that last question. I think we got to everything else. Really appreciate you guys. Please like before you get out of here so you get alerted, and subscribe so you make sure you get alerted when you're following us. And let's make some money tonight, everybody. This is not the most fun slate in the world, but it's certainly stuff that we can do some with. So I do appreciate all you guys, and I hope to make a lot of money with you guys tonight. Let's get it.